Hi guys, how's it going? So today I thought I'd do a video on the post-production workflow I use for editing pretty much everything that we create here at RS. Joe does stuff in Adobe Premiere Pro still. I used to be on that until fairly recently when I moved over to DaVinci Resolve 14, which is part of why I wanted to make this video, is a switch over to a completely new workflow and why it is very powerful to switch to DaVinci Resolve 14 from Blackmagic. It's free, and I just want to talk a bit about the software while I'm going through this whole process, as it's a pretty powerful software and for the price it's incredible. So without further ado, let's begin. So I've created a project. When you first open DaVinci Resolve, you'll be presented with a page like this without this stuff in the background. Excuse me. This is basically where you have your folders and your videos and all that kind of fun stuff. I've created folders with various things in here and whatnot. These videos you may have seen that have gone up on the RS or MSP channels. If we go into that RS folder, let's see, we've got films, we've got songs of the copies there and so on. So you can create folders and organise things, and this is basically where your projects are. If you haven't got your projects, you can create a new one. What I've also got is, if I hit save, I'll publish some templates. I've created a 4K and a 1080p temporary projects that have got basically inside them, they've got the folder structure that I use already set up and sequences with the intro outro stuff, music all lined up correctly already, as you can see for the intro there, in certain resolutions, and obviously the 4K one UHD has 4K. Hop back over into here, you'll be able to see that's what I've basically got in this post-production workflow. If we go into sequences, in here I've renamed it some stuff, and I did chuck some test footage in before starting this video just to make sure it works. But yeah, we've got this, which will eventually actually be the video you're watching right now. We'll be going into here. If we got hop into here, production example, this is the DCI 2K because the Santa's Copies film was shot in DCI 4K. I'm just doing it in 1080 for the sake of speed today. 4K does play back very nicely if you have a decent graphics card, especially if you create optimized media in the footage, which I'm going to show you the importing. But yeah, so I'm doing it in 2K just for the sake of speed today. As you can see, I've got a folder structure in my main bin down here that's got certain things like aspect ratio guides, folders ready with certain music already in there, folder structure, and so on and so forth. So let's just go up here. You've got your media storage. You can either do that, I have a couple of favourites in here, or you can obviously gut it through your Finder, well, File Explorer in Windows. I keep calling it Finder since moving over from Mac and stuff from day one. Okay, let's grab from there through to here. Keep it nice and short for the sake of speed. So what we can do is, if we click on the shot to bring it up in the source viewer here, you can see the slate. Hop in and put scene details in. And things, and you can also, if you go in to timeline, or is it, no, it's view, sorry, view, and make sure show display names is selected, and then go clip attributes, name, display name, type, is it? It's one of these. And take. Then it will show up as your shot and take number. That's why I put all that information, because it's super easy to see at a glance, because realistically the file name really isn't important when you actually get into the edit. So I would go through and put all that in on all of them. And there we have it. I've put for all the ones that we've actually used the clapboard. They all now have tape numbers in there. This one I'd probably stick in as 8. Say 8-1. That's a differential 8D. 8-1. So that's why the slate's really useful, because it gives you that information, and yeah, that it's just very useful, and the metadata is useful because it means that when you come into actually editing the project, it's going to be much simpler. As I mentioned earlier, you can generate optimized media. This will take a while though, so I'm not actually going to do that for the sake of this video. Next, we're going to hop into the edit. As you can see, I've already got that title linked in for this project. Nice and simple. Create an After Effects. Got to create something new in Fusion this year, I think. Now I'll move over to Fusion. So yeah, that's that. I am using lots of shortcut keys for this. If you want to find your shortcuts, go into Preferences, User, Keyboard Mapping. I've customised mine quite heavily, so there's no point me really telling you mine. Generally, as a whole, what I've done is moved the stuff I use the most often either to the left side of the keyboard or onto my G keys on my keyboard. It's 18 programmable keys that I have on the left-hand side of my keyboard. It's rather useful for this kind of work. So now that we've got shots and formatted it in, we want to go through and say sometimes I'll just go through in here usually, and I'll play it forward.
Camera rolling.
Audio speeding. Sounds in the coppice. Roll 1. Scene 8 alpha. Take 1. Roll.
Let's get through.
Roll.
Then put it in just before. See, depending on how you do it, because we're syncing audio on set, so of course I'd go into here and bring in sound, and bring those in too, but again, for the sake of this project, there's multiple ways you can do it.
Silence in the coppice. Roll 1. Scene 8 beta. Take 2.
Audio speeding.
Coppice. Roll 1. Scene alpha. Take 2. On. Coppice. Roll 1.
Audio speeding.
Roll 1. Scene 8 alpha. Take 2.
Right, so I'll just grab something like that and bring those in to here. Add a bin. Drop those in there. I mean, I can just audio files are small, so just bring them all in.
Sounds in the coppice. Roll 1. Scene 8 alpha. Take 1. Roll.
and pop it in an in point just before there. Let's so now we've got audio and that. What we can do is, if I was to pop this in here, depending on how you do things, you can sync and now if I bring that in, so I'll just select those, go and see now it's synced. If you take the time to go through, it's very useful and helpful, and when you're using a clapboard it makes things a million times easier for that. As I said, that's a very easy way of getting your audio synced. Another way of doing it, if I want to do things a bit more manually, is I will come in and that would be all one file normally, and what I basically would do is just find where those clap points are and line them up. Fairly simple really. You didn't actually sync those up there, so I want to just undo. That's the thing, if you have it set up right it works. I've never really done that, so what I would do is I'd bring a shot in and find the audio, bring the audio track in, go down, because I've created those endpoints, chances are it's probably synced already, so it's solo this. And there we go, it's synced. Pretty simple, let's say, and if I hadn't managed to get that initial timing when I put the endpoint exactly right, it's just a case of adding the clap and lining those up. And if we haven't used this, we haven't used a slate with the clap, or had anyone clap sync, which is something used typically when we don't have the slate going, is I'll find the loudest, most obvious noise that I can in the both of the tracks and line those up. I'll look for something visual that happened that made a noise, that kind of thing, in case one of the audio tracks was particularly quiet and so on. So yeah, syncing audio can be a pain. It works quite nicely, especially if you have time code, as you saw if we went back and popped a copy. I'm not going to do that, but basically if you right click, you see based on time code, what you can do is get time code generators and actually have your camera have a time code inputted into the file and your audio recorder with time code, and you'll sync those before you start the shoot, and then during the shoot it keeps both of them perfectly in sync, and then it makes it nice and quick and easy, because by time code it would just automatically find exactly the right spot. So there we go, there's shot one. What I would do after that is, since we've got it from that clap, go through, find point where the car starts driving, then I would just trim off the top there. What I did there was I hit Q, or well, I've got a shortcut for it, but it's a shortcut for, I think it's on the square brackets originally, it's called ripple editing. Basically when I hit the button, what it does is it applies a cut to the footage, selects all of this, deletes this, and moves all of that back to the beginning of where that clip was originally. So you can see it goes from there to there. So the point where that playhead is now becomes over here, and it moves it all up. It's just a nice way of rippling everything up and keeping everything nice and neat. Occasionally in Resolve it misses by like a frame, so sometimes it's worth just grabbing it like so and shifting it around just a touch, just to make sure that everything fits nicely there. And normally I also have these small so I can fit more stuff. So I only have a 1080p screen anywhere. I would then go through back to the footage. What was the next shot I need to see? It's that one there. Zeros. And close up. Link. And the clip somewhere here. Generally, there you go, that would be a sequence. Again, boosting the audio recorder sound to make sure it's all audible. Some of this in the actual final piece of this film did get replaced, but as you can see we've now got a flowing piece, and that's the basic layout of the edit complete. I would then go through, do more passes, rippling more, adjusting things. Then, you know, you wanted to add in sound effects and music, so you'd maybe hop back into your media, got music. Definitely not music to fit this piece, but I'll just pop some music in here. Zoom right in, just just bring it to start just there. What I tend to do as well is give different types of audio different colours. Just so that I can see what it is. I tend to leave the introductory stuff alone, usually the title card stuff, because that's more of like a set linked clip. It just makes a bit more sense. So, you know, I've got music and so on and so forth. Of course, that music is going to be incredibly overpowering. I will drop that down a touch. Let's just solo it, just to get it to stop peaking. Get it somewhere around there. Just drop it a little bit, because my main mix I do inside of the Fairlight tab, which we'll come to shortly. After you got, you know, music laid in, which normally would probably, you know, last through a bit better like that. The next thing is to, you know, add in titles, text, that kind of thing. Make sure that's all in place. So, for example, in this film there was some VFX work we did, so I go through and I would do basically everything I need to do inside of the edit to get the edit done. Whether that's titles, graphics, VFX, so on and so forth. I'd go in and put all that in during this stage, going along with that as it went, and just basically messing around, not messing too much with the audio, just making sure everything kind of is in the right place and such. Next is to go to colour, and this is the colour tab. In here, this is where Resolve has made its name. There's a professional colour grading suite. It's insanely powerful. Normally it would probably look a bit more like this, however I've got it set up a little bit differently so that because I don't generally, except for specific circumstances, don't tend to use the clips. I do during certain things. Let's say I've got a bunch of different workspace presets saved, which is basically all you need to do is just adjust your window, have on what you want on, and it applies to each page. If I wanted to also have these open and the inspector open and so on, I just go into workspace, layout presets and save layout as the preset, or you can import layout as presets. You can import them as well and all that kind of thing. Either way, back up to the colour tab. So I've got this set up. I will bring the clips up just so we can see what we've got here, because that one tends to get hidden and shown a lot. So you can see, you know, this footage is shot on my GH4 in log. It's quite flat, it's a bit dull, it's rather boring. Let me just double check something. In my suite, colour is M2, yeah. I've got different key combinations set up for different things, so now I can pin, there we go, that's the one. So you can see it's flat. You can see from the waveform here that, you know, there's lots happening, but it's all squashed into this space, hence why it's all flat, desaturated, and all of that kind of stuff. So just accidentally create that, so let's just quickly delete selected there, right. Delete node, create a new node. So Resolve works on a node based workflow, so you've got these things that are nodes up at the top. It works similar to layers in Photoshop. Each new node you create, you know, it goes from this one, then this one is like it's in a sequence. So it generally what you do to begin with, it will affect the next thing and the next thing, so they're generally in order in which you do things. A few different ways to generally do an edit. You can either, it really just depends on the shot, you can either come in, make some adjustments, like so. Or if you are entirely lazy, you could come in and hit the auto button. Or you could set white balance and get a starting point from Resolve itself, like so. But then who's going to do that? There is certain tricks you can use to get a bit of a head start, which is what I would tend to do, is to go in and add LUTs. LUTs are your best friend. I've got some installed already. Just for my camera, I should say, for the GH4, I also have some specific looks, and I also, what I tend to do is go through and also stick faces on there, because that's the industry standard. Always best to label your nodes. I make the mistake of not doing it sometimes, and then I end up losing what I'm doing. And from this point, you see, you know, it is definitely beginning to look a lot better, but you know, there's still definitely some work needs doing to this. So I'm going to come into my colour wheels here, and first step is, with the primary adjustment, is to go in and get my shadows, highlights and so on all where I want them, like so. Then I would come in, add some saturation. I usually overdo it intentionally across a couple here. Saturation and duration. So I tend to intentionally overdo it to begin with, so I can kind of see what I'm doing when I come into and I want start messing with my white balance, like so. And then I would just simply bring back the white balance a bit, just to the saturation a bit, rather back to close to where I wanted. You can see we're already starting to get a much nicer image there already. What you can do as well is, if you have a couple clips like this that are in the same one, if I just click onto this clip that's going to have almost identical grade, and middle mouse click on another one, it will just bring all that grade straight across, which is why it's also good to label these, because then you can go in, so if you want to make fine tunes to a different shot, you can easily see what each one did. Again, it's like that. Another way to get grade to go across multiple shots is to select multiple and add to group. And then you also get group pre-clips that goes in the order of all of these nodes. You can think of it as first set of nodes, second set of nodes, third set of nodes, final set of nodes. Is generally how you can think of that. So that's generally how you can ways of moving grades across different clips. Again, I'm going to come in and I'm actually going to copy these two onto here. Go in and again just exposure. So again, it's increasing that saturation far too much so that it's easier to kind of see what your white balance is actually doing, because it's much easier to see the colour. And then come back in and bring the saturation back down to something a touch more normal. So yeah, I've accidentally hit a key there, but that's called creating new versions. You can actually have different versions and, you know, swap back and forth between them if you try and create different looks. You can see different versions there. You can actually have versions as originals, so you can actually see like different versions if you've gone along, if you were so inclined that way. And what I'm going to do is just go through, because all of these can get the same grade. Could have made a group to make it a touch quicker, but let's just say nice and simple. In the grade you can do a lot more powerful things, like you can select certain hues, so the saturation is only being applied to a certain area. You can create windows, so you can actually pop circle and create a vignette. Invert it as a vignette. Make it even, what I like to do in my kind of final thing, if it's like a profile shot of someone, this shot where we've got a relative close-up of someone's face. I could pop this here and actually track it onto his face to apply saturation just there, for example. There's blur and sharpening over here. Now just add a touch more sharpness to a shot. Keying, so you can key out things. You've got sizing. And if you have got 3D footage, you can do 3D stuff over there, and to say your regular curves, you've seen something like Photoshop. All nice and simple. You've got your waveform over here and your keyframes here if you want a keyframe grade, which is super useful. I say it's useful, I don't use it loads, but it's useful if you have transitions in shots where you're going from somewhere light to somewhere dark. Again, your waveforms over here. Next is Fairlight. This is the audio software built into Resolve 14. Very nice. Works a lot like Adobe Audition and other digital audio workfaces. You know, you can set your different levels, so that's, you know, what's that there? I'll bring that up, bring those down. Then we can probably
You've had more than that, I will. Look at this guy's dad stuff here.
you can go in EQ and create, say something like this using the equalization. Oh, I was on the wrong track. Do it over here. You can punch these numbers in, but with this essentially roughly the reverse. This equalization basically is just to essentially fitting certain things into the gaps you create in the equalization, so you see they're roughly in the same places. If I spend a bit more time, it'd be a bit extra. So effects, I've also installed a couple of different things like this to create interesting sounds, and you know, you got your pan, all that kind of fun stuff. It's a very powerful bit of software. This is also the volume level in the Fairlight tab is what your actual output volume is. That sometimes it's different to an edit tab, not entirely sure why, but that's just the case. Once I've gone through, I've done the colour grade, I've done all my edit, I've done all the colour grading, I've done all of the sound, and then come over to the Deliver tab. I've got a bunch of presets set up to go into different to browse, pick a folder where you want something to go. You can do it in individual single clips depending on what you're doing. You know, file naming, get all your settings right. You can actually select specific clips or set an in point at a clip, you know, in and out range or whatever. Add that to your render queue, and once you've got all your settings right, hit start render. It also has stuff built in like some stuff for YouTube, some stuff for Vimeo, Final Cut, XML files, audio only, all that kind of fun stuff. Just gonna tape. You know, there's all sorts of very powerful things you can access in the Resolve Deliver tab. That's where you can do your final, check over everything and get your content out there. So, without further ado, that is the end of this very quick and dirty overview of the workflow. DaVinci Resolve really does lay it out for you. It takes you step by step. You organise your media, put in your metadata, you do your edit, you do your colour, you do your sound, and you deliver it. I will swap back and forth between these as the process goes on. You know, I'll get it pretty close in the edit, and then I might do a bit of the colour, or do a start on balancing the sound a little bit, come back, do a bit more of the colour, back to the editing, do a bit more sound, do a bit of colour, and so on. I'll generally work from left to right here, but I do hop back and forth between these four and the deliver, because if I'm sending out examples for review, and then obviously say if I sent it to the director to be reviewed and the footage had been reviewed, I could go and say the director reviewed it, and so on and so forth. So yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed that quick and dirty post-production workflow example there. This was something I've been wanting to make for a little while. Now I'm a bit more proficient in DaVinci Resolve. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I would play this back, but since obviously it's 4K footage and 1080p timeline and there's an optimized media here, it will be a bit slow. So yeah, it gives you the impression of how Resolve works, and consider this software is free. There's £300 for a paid release version that gives you some extra stuff like overview HD, so higher than 3840 by 2160 resolution, and noise reduction and a few other things, because there is actually over here there's stuff like noise reduction and other stuff down here as well. You can actually colour match some things. So if you went to Vlog, target gamma, and match. Yeah, if you you'd have to have a colour card. No, you can set a colour card there that you hold in front of it at the start of the shot, and you can hit match, and it will automatically match everything correctly to begin with. You know, if you shoot in RAW, then you've got a bunch of RAW stuff down here as well. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. I will be doing definitely more videos on DaVinci Resolve very soon. Well, for the next 11 weeks I have a bunch of new stuff that I've just got. I'm going to be doing reviews and all sorts on new items that I've got over the past few months, so stay tuned for that, and I'll be coming back to DaVinci Resolve after March. Thank you guys for watching. Adios.